Vir Viridae? Rona Viridae? Sounds like a nice town. You are listening to the Keeping It Juicy podcast.
Your main squeeze in nutrition.
Don't forget to subscribe so you can join us every Tuesday for a brand new episode.
Also, don't forget to add us on Instagram and Facebook at Keeping It Juicy Podcast. All right, guys, welcome to episode 68. And if you guys couldn't tell, the Rona is still around. But
it's not going away anytime soon.
No, and with it comes much more BS, which we'll go into in this episode. But before we do go into that, let's go into our new nutrition in the news, which we thought we'd switch it up a little bit. And this one is actually called Visceral Fat Delivers Signal to the Brain That Hurts Cognition. So we've all heard about visceral fat, but we've never really, a lot of people think that fat in general just kind of sits there and doesn't do anything. Well, let me tell you something, it actually does do some things. So according to this article we're about to go over, excessive weight around our middle gives our brains resident immune cells heavy exposure to a signal that can turn them against us. And actually sets in motion a crescendo of inflammation that supposedly damages our cognition, which is not something that you hear every day. So it's known that this visceral adiposity, which is characterized by the apple-shaped physique that you see, is considered particularly bad for our bodies and brains in general. So if it actually helps cause, not cause, but contribute to metabolic syndrome. So if you want to go back several episodes ago, I would definitely refer to that episode. So in this article, the Medical College of Georgia scientists have actually shown for the first time a way visceral adiposity is bad for brains by actually enabling excessive access for the pro-inflammatory protein signal interleukin-1 beta. That's a mouthful. But that tends to happen in our body already. So in this article, it shows what can happen if there's too much of that pro-inflammation going on. So it's kind of like a smoldering pot. This chronic inflammation from the visceral fat actually prompts the formation of other inflammatory complexes that go on in your body, which furthers that immune response and the inflammation already going on. There's actually another protein called NLRP3, and it's a core component of this complex within the fat. And that is what promotes the production and release of those interleukin-1 beta by the fat cells, and it kind of stokes that inflammation fire. So with this being said, these scientists actually looked at how this was affected in mice. So they looked at high fat and low fat in these mice, and they looked at what would happen when the NLRP3 was knocked out. So long story short, this article, before we get way too complicated into it, these scientists actually looked at a group of mice and they tested knocking out some proteins and putting in some proteins. And basically they found out by knocking out a certain protein, therefore like minimizing that exposure to that pro-inflammatory protein, they realized there was a cognitive decline in the mice. So we're going to attach their article in the show notes for you guys to really look at, because it is kind of complicated to describe it right now. But this is important to note because there is an increased rate of cognitive decline that's been linked in obesity in humans. Mm-hmm. So this is a really key turning point just to really recognize when we also talk about obesity, that's not just these other comorbidities that are going on. And
I think it's important to distinguish as well. You know, we use the term obesity a lot.
Right.
And technically obese is a BMI category. We know BMI is right. outdated, but I do want to emphasize in regard to an article like this, It's
Mm-hmm.
more so excessive adipose tissue that we're
Right.
talking about. If you're in the obese category, but you are in that obese category because you have a lot of lean mass and your body fat mass is appropriate, that's
Right.
not what we mean by obesity. We're talking
Right.
about excessive um, adipose tissue, because we know that adipose tissue doesn't just sit there,
Right.
it actually secretes certain things, and that's what this study is really looking at. And
Right.
some of those things are linked to cognitive decline. So,
And specifically, this article is talking about the abdominal area,
correct.
not just
Correct.
like general adiposity.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
actually talking about how it's better to look at the waist to hip ratio
Mm-hmm.
as a better indicator of that visceral adiposity than just the regular BMI that we look at, just because visceral adiposity is literally covering your organs. So that's a bigger indicator than
Mm-hmm.
just obesity overall. And they're
Exactly.
just saying that there is a link or correlation to
Mm-hmm.
cognitive decline. Doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get Alzheimer's all of a sudden, but this is
Mm-hmm.
just something interesting that they have pointed out, which I would highly recommend you guys check out the article
Mm-hmm.
um, because it's interesting
Yeah.
and something to make note of when we talk about obesity now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Specifically, abdominal obesity
mm-hmm,
from excess adipose tissue.
mm-hmm,
So,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. So that's our new nutrition news. Let us know your thoughts, feelings, concerns, if you agree or disagree with that.
very good.
So I don't know. There's always somebody that disagrees. So
And that's okay. And
mhm.
that's okay. So, with all of that being said, we are now going to jump into the majority of our episode. We're just going to talk briefly about how the stats have changed of coronavirus in our cities,
Mhm.
and then dive into some of the products that have been released or remarketed in attempt to capitalize on the coronavirus. So, we'll get into that in just a second. But how are things in Texas?
It's actually ever evolving. So by the time I put this statistic up versus when I looked up the statistic today, it has changed. So as of Friday, we had 18 cases in Southeast Texas. But as of today, Jefferson County has 16 cases, Hardin 9, Chambers 5, Orange County 1, Liberty 2. So that is what?
That
Almost close to double
Oh, yikes. So it's,
in the area.
yeah,
So obviously, when more people are tested, we're gonna have more confirmed
absolutely.
cases come back. That's just a given.
Exactly.
Uh, so
Mm-hmm.
it is rapidly increasing,
Mm-hmm.
and we did have a stay-at-home order uh, go into effect as of 11:59 p.m. on Friday night, except for essential businesses, of course. Uh, Again, our testing procedures are super slow. They take between 7 to 13 days. So we had a patient that was sent for testing on March 20th. We have yet to receive any test results, and that's a big deal.
Yeah.
But until we get the test results back, we did put him on the very last shift, kind of in the corner. I think maybe in the isolation room, if I'm correct. And until we get the test results back, if he's negative, that's fine. If he is, then we're doing the right thing. So that's
Mm-hmm.
how it's going so far here. So I feel like we are like a week behind you, like you and I
Yes.
talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like we're about 2 weeks behind where Italy was when things got
Mhm.
like really bad. Um, but I do hear it's slowing down a bit. You know, it kind of has to reach its peak before things get better. We still haven't reached our peak here in the States yet. But in regard to San Diego County, again, that's where I'm at. We, as of last night, which was March 28th, I know this episode comes out later, but we
Right.
had 488 positive cases. Again, as you're testing more people, you're obviously going to get more confirmed cases. Last week when we recorded, there was about 250-ish. So we've about doubled in a week. We're
Right.
up to 7 deaths. I believe last week there was 2. So we've much more than doubled that,
Right.
tripled that. Um, where I'm located, I think we're handling things a lot better than where we were last week. San Diego County is pretty big. It ranges from Oceanside literally down to the border. I'm more in the South Bay area. People are cooperating much better now. People aren't flocking to the parks and beaches quite as much as they were last week. And that's because the government or whatever put an order out saying that authorities can now fine you if they want to.
Everyone's like, oh shit.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple funny videos out on Instagram and the internet right now of surfers trying to run onto the beach and the cops being like, "Sir, I know you hear me. Please retreat. Please retreat."
Anything for the gram.
Anything for the ground. And the poor surfer just wants to surf, but it's the point. The point is just stay home. So the authorities can fine you if you don't comply, but they did say on the news, we don't want to fine anybody. We're just trying to spread education right now, and make the public aware, but they can fine you. I think that's very important for everybody to know.
Yeah.
This will likely start to happen in other states too if people are not cooperating. So it's going on right here in San Diego.
Yeah, that's the same thing happening here too. I think $1,500 fine or up to 180 days in jail. Pick and choose. It's fine.
Just stay home, just stay home. So things are progressing, but I feel like people are starting to get it now that like you just have to stay home. Like it's hard, but it's not that hard, you know? Just gotta keep
Just
yourself entertained.
to some people, it's really hard, okay? I don't think you understand. So, with that being said, let's kind of talk about the worst gimmicks that decide to come about and take advantage of this, because why not?
America.
I don't think it's just online too. But in America, so we have a list of some fun things you can try if you feel like preventing the
Please don't.
corona.
Please don't.
Yeah, please don't. Basically, all of these are just herbs and oils, so there's nothing new here. I mean, what else did you guys really expect? But let's dive a little deeper into these products in just a second.
So the first one that we're going to talk about is called Corona Cure Nasal Spray, and it actually claims to kill the virus before it enters your body. So here are some of the claims that the FDA warned them about that they needed to take off of their website and like social media posts and whatnot. So here's the first one. Corona Cure Antiseptic Nasal Defense kills viruses of the Coronaviridae family, including the 2019 coronavirus and SARS, at their point of entry into your body. I'm assuming they meant your nasal cavity by the name of the product. And then they say, our instant protection nasal spray is designed to protect your vulnerable nasal passages from infection by the 2019 novel coronavirus specifically and other viruses in general. Does more than one thing. Corona Cure contains antiseptic that will kill the virus on contact before it is able to enter your body. Active protection from the airborne coronavirus using proprietary blend of oils and disinfectant. I don't think you should be shooting disinfectant up your nose,
No.
but that's my opinion. Apparently the FDA's opinion too.
Yeah. And I think this is a prime time for them to release all of this because the
Absolutely.
FDA is dealing with the corona. And then you have all these other fuckheads that were releasing stuff like this so they can get as much money as they can.
Right. So this product specifically is called Corona Cure. So they're just kind of asking for it first and foremost. But a couple of the other products just rebranded their current products to make it seem like it can cure or prevent or treat coronavirus. And there's nothing at this time, FYI.
Yeah. So the next product is called Care Health Immune. So it doesn't sound like corona cure.
Mm-hmm.
As you look closer, it appears from their website that they are trying to upsell their herb by saying that the herbs boost immunity because that's a new hot word right now. The coronavirus pandemic has no medical treatment. This is a statement from the website. Natural antiviral herbs boost immunity and decrease virus virulence to achieve herd immunity. So, do you know what herd immunity is? Well, we didn't either. But here is Cara Health's definition of it. So, in an ideal world, we would isolate the sick and the old on an island while the coronavirus was allowed to run its course naturally amongst the healthy population, after which, when herd immunity was achieved, the virus would be unable to infect further hosts. The vulnerable could safely return. I'm sorry, but that's not how viruses work. That is not, if you ever taking any science or biology class, that is not how viruses work. They do not discriminate where to go into. That's what
Mhm.
she said.
Mhm.
But would you buy a product from this company? Not me.
Absolutely not. Like, they're I'm not sure what their motive is in wanting to promote herd immunity. Um, but yeah, like you said, that's not how viruses run their
No.
course. Um, it's just ridiculous. But fortunately, the FDA found them and sent them a nice little warning letter. So, the next one that we want to talk about, and this one was actually new for me, it's the whole concept of silver being a supplement. And this one specifically is colloidal silver, 1100 ppm. And this is the claim from the company. It says that coronavirus 2019 treatment has a home remedy. The Chinese Wuhan flu pneumonia has a non-traditional remedy that has successfully killed coronaviruses from the flu virus to pandemic disease in vitro for over 100 years. If colloidal silver has killed coronavirus strains in past laboratory tests, then the current coronaviruses should also be killed. Protect your immune system and try colloidal silver 1100 ppm immune support. So they're basically trying to say that the Chinese have used this for hundreds of years in vitro to protect themselves from other coronaviruses. So
Do
it
they know
should just
that?
work for this one too. You
Do they
know,
know that they did that?
who?
The Chinese, do they know that they did this?
I don't know. But this company thinks that they know that they did, so I don't know. I before this I had never heard of colloidal silver being an immune supplement. So when we look a little bit further into it, here's what the NIH National Institute of Health has to say about colloidal silver and all products, not just this specific brand that the FDA sent a letter to. So colloidal silver consists of silver particles in a liquid that is sometimes promoted on the internet as a dietary supplement. However, evidence supporting health-related claims is lacking. Go figure. In fact, colloidal silver can be dangerous to your health. Wow, big shocker. Uh, Colloidal silver can cause serious side effects. The most common is argyria. I'm probably butchering that word, but basically, it's a side effect where it causes a bluish gray discoloration of your skin, which is usually permanent.
Unless you're into that. So,
Permanent. Um, yeah, noted. Colloidal silver can also cause poor absorption of some drugs, such as antibiotics and thyroxine. Like we've talked about before, many supplements cause drug interactions, so nothing new here. FDA also warned in 1999 that colloidal silver isn't safe or effective for treating any disease or condition. So, in conclusion, it doesn't work for coronavirus and it likely doesn't work in general unless your goal was to turn gray. We don't judge much. So, if that was your goal, you'll probably achieve that, but otherwise, it doesn't work.
and then with that being said, our next one is called Guru Nanda. So they claim this on their website. Essential oils have great potential in the field of biomedicine as they effectively destroy several bacterial, fungal, and viral pathogens. Essential oils are effective against a diverse range of pathogens. That's redundant. So, possible mechanisms of actions include the inhibition of virus replication by hindering cellular DNA polymerase and alteration in phenylpropanoid pathways. On the bright side, when I checked out their website myself, there was minimal, if not any, advertisements regarding immunity and COVID-19.
So moving on, there's lo and behold another company, an essential oil company called Quintessence Aromatherapy, who also claimed that essential oils can help against coronavirus. One of the claims that the FDA pinned them for is they said the most powerful antivirus essential oils to provide defense against coronavirus include, I'll name a few, but we'll put the whole list on our show notes, basil, bergamot, cinnamon, eucalyptus, juniper berry, peppermint, sage, tea tree. There's probably about 20 here, but those are some of the ones that it includes. And then they also said, whoever wrote this blog article, they said, in my opinion, eucalyptus is better suited than globulus for chronic respiratory conditions and viral or bacterial infections, especially with young children. Yikes. So they're bringing kids into this too, saying that for chronic respiratory conditions, eucalyptus essential oil will help, especially in kids. I have
That,
a
sta-
major problem with that.
that statement sounds like they put a bunch of big words and a patient population together, and they're like, that's probably it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, those are the two statements that the FDA pinned them for when they wrote their warning letter. I checked out the website myself. These statements seem to be gone as of right now,
Mhm.
so they followed through. But this is just another example of who knows how long those statements were up. It could have been 2-3 months, and kids or parents are potentially giving their kids eucalyptus oil to cure some chronic respiratory condition. And we've heard really bad outcomes of,
Mhm.
you know,
I mean,
natural
I
procedures
mean,
and death.
I'm sure you've heard on the news that a mom decided to not give the kid insulin, thinking it would be cured by essential oil, ended up killing the
Cinnamon,
kid.
cinnamon, because cinnamon, there are studies to support that cinnamon,
Not really. It's kind of
it's
like,
minimal, it's very minimal, but people have the idea that more is better. So if it's a concentrated essential oil, it's going to be great. But there are a few studies that do say that cinnamon helps with the hypoglycemic effect. Again, very minimal. Um, have cinnamon because you like it, not because you think it's going to like cure
right.
cure your crap. But yeah, she didn't give her kid insulin and he died. So
So,
correct me
yeah,
if I'm wrong, but was that news story, did she inject him with the cinnamon essential oil instead of insulin, or just
I
didn't
think
give
she
him
injected him.
I think she did too. We'll try to find that story again, but insulin and cinnamon essential oil are not same,
They are definitely not, and essential oil should not be going into your body.
especially your bloodstream.
Yeah.
If
So
you
I'm
want to add some lemon in your water, fine, but not your bloodstream. Don't
just
inject.
like that. Just like that. So there's Herbal Amy. So in case you don't know, these are some of the products: coronavirus bone set tea, coronavirus cell protection, coronavirus cord tincture, coronavirus immune system, and elderberry tincture. So the only one without the coronavirus name in it. So these are some of the claims. Coronavirus treatment. Stephen Bunner has analyzed how coronaviruses infect tissues, what tissues they infect, and the herbs that are used to interrupt that process, as well as the herbs useful to shut down the cytokine cascade they create. First off, where did he get the coronavirus? I want to know. Who did he have to isolate it from and where? So that's just an observation.
Yeah.
And then Herbal Amy made a blog post to follow up the letter she received from the FDA. Herbal supplements, FDA is very stringent on the wording we can use to describe our herbal products. We quoted a description from the inventor of this particular herbal combinations from Stephen Bunner. He is considered one of the leading experts in herbal products and developed this formula called Coronavirus Protocol. The letter we received from the FDA was simply an administrative warning that we cannot make any claims concerning herbal products. We removed the passage containing Mr. Bunner's description of the products and are in order to be in compliance with all FDA requirements. The quality of product was never in doubt, and we continue to service clients nationwide. Fucking idiot.
So basically, what her little blog post says in follow up to the letter they received by the FDA, Herbal Amy basically just copied and pasted the description set forth by this Stephen Bunner. I didn't know who he was, so I wanted to do a little bit more research on him. So here's what he has to say about coronavirus. When you go on, it gets better. It gets better. When you look on his website, he's an author of many different herbal books and whatnot. You can tell he's been kind of in the scene for a while. He's an older gentleman and very, I don't know the right
That
word,
was a
but
great description.
yeah, if you saw the video, it's, he's just got a lot of little of that going on. So these are some of the claims on his website that he makes about himself. He did not mention on his website and his About Me section any sort of formal training. I don't know if he's a doctor, a physician. He didn't put anything,
Doubt it.
any college background or formal education whatsoever, but he makes these claims about his contribution to the field. These were just some that stuck out to me, but there's a lot. I suggest you go read them for yourself. So he claims that he created the first comprehensive and sophisticated Western understanding and treatment protocols for COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, utilizing herbal medicines. That's a strong fucking statement. You're the first to create the most comprehensive and sophisticated. Says who? Like, says who?
Says me. That's all that matters.
And that's the problem with the internet. So, geez, worked up. And then he says he developed the most complex, again, that's very subjective. Complex is a subjective term. So he developed the most complex understanding at the present time of the sophistication and synergy of herbal medicines in the treatment of chronic diseases and their capacity for subtle modulation of human physiology during such disease conditions. Again, another very strong sentence. I'm not even sure quite what it means, but it's a claim that he makes. He also developed the first comprehensive text on herbal antivirals in American herbalism. Okay. And then here's what he has to say about himself. I have achieved some degree of mastery in a number of fields, such as bacterial ecology, intelligence, resistance dynamics, plant intelligence, ecology, medicinal sophistications, several forms of psychotherapy, human psychology, biological self-organization, non-linearity, I don't even know what that is, the dynamics of GN non-linearity and self-organization, contemplative spirituality, fine woodworking, and the restoration and remodeling of old houses as individual art forms. Yeah. Sophistication in the writing of nonfiction, lectures as performance art, and I am quite sure a number of others which are not occurring to me now. He's a character. He's a character.
Sounds like a narcissist.
Check out his website. Again, no form. He doesn't mention if he has any form of formal education. Not to say he doesn't. I couldn't find it on his website, and I think that would have been the most appropriate place to put it. I've also never heard much of him before. I gathered all of this information from his website. I didn't, spend hours trying to find out if he has a degree or anything. But again, I think his website would be the best place to put his education versus his opinion of his degree of mastery in remodeling old houses as an individual art form.
What a unique range of talents.
I know. I mean, he sounds like a chill guy. Like if I met him in a coffee shop, I'd probably have a great conversation for hours. But he basically wrote this PDF article. We'll attach it in the show notes. Read it on your own time. I will admit, it is pretty well written, and he does have sources in it, but it's his opinion on different herbs and his theory about how they can protect you from coronaviruses and SARS in general. Read it. It's interesting. He does source things, but again, it's just his opinion of other research on certain herbs and their biological mechanism in the body and how that relates to coronavirus. But this coronavirus is so new, there's not a lot of really solid
Right.
research yet. So
Right.
I'm done.
Anyways. So is there actually any evidence that might help like prevent or do anything with
Mhm.
COVID-19? Well, there's actually one we'll touch upon real quickly, and that is vitamin C, if that wasn't obvious. So we know that vitamin C is a well-known antioxidant and heavily popular in the immunity world itself. There are clinical trials that do support vitamin C for influenza, but currently nothing for coronavirus, although there are minimal side effects and vitamin C is quite affordable. There is no actual scientific proof yet. There is a clinical trial in the works according to clinicaltrials.gov. The last collection of data is set up to be collected in September 30th, 2020, even if we make it that far.
Debatable. It's only March, guys. It's only March.
So,
So yeah. In the meantime, it might be helpful to eat an orange here or there,
mhm.
but it's also a good idea to eat a wide variety of nutrient-dense foods just in general. There's no need to spend a bunch of money on supplements. Spend that money on whole foods, and you will get much, much further.
Sorry, it just cracked me up because I think it wasn't here, but a friend of mine in another town, they went to go grocery shopping, and a lot of the usual stuff that we expected to be gone was gone.
Hmm.
But she went into the fresh produce aisle.
You can get
All the
anything you want.
no, all the fruits were gone.
Really?
The vegetables were there, but the
Oh,
fruits were gone. Which
that's interesting.
people forget that there's also vitamin C in some vegetables
Oh,
too.
yeah, especially
So,
broccoli, your bell
yeah.
peppers.
Yes.
Yeah,
So I just thought it was funny she said that. I was like, really?
yeah.
People loading up on the oranges and strawberries and all that stuff.
Which
So,
I'm glad to hear. Grocery stores here, the bread aisles are empty, the chips aisles are empty, the snack food aisles are
hmm,
pretty empty. But I have not had a problem getting any vegetable or fruit that I want. So,
right,
chilling.
right. So, with that being said, let us know your thoughts and feelings about all these herbal supplements and whatnot, and what you're doing right now. And hopefully, it's nothing dramatic. So, we're kind of going to close out this episode with our social media shout out. It's been a while, and it goes out to Dish with Dasha. And in her bio, she states herself as a realistic dietitian, which I really like that. A
Mhm.
yogi and a lover of all foods. She's from Dallas, Texas, and she
Oh,
has so many good food pictures. So
we
many.
like food pics. We've
Yes.
said it
If you
before,
see
we'll say it again.
if you see a trend here.
And tag us in some food pics too. We like to see that stuff.
Mhm.
So that concludes our episode for today. We hope you found it enjoyable and entertaining. I definitely found some of these products very entertaining myself.
So, well, I guess until next time, we'll catch you
Stay safe.
guys later. Yes,
Stay
stay
safe. Wash
safe,
your hands.
make good choices, the usual.
The usual stuff.
So,
All right. Bye, guys.
bye.
Thanks for listening to the Keeping It Juicy podcast.
Your main squeeze in nutrition.
Don't forget to subscribe so you can join us every Tuesday for a brand new episode.
Also, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Keeping It Juicy Podcast.
We'd love to hear from you, so please leave us a review
5 stars, no less.
on whatever platform you're listening to, or send us an email at keepingitjuicypodcast@gmail.com.
Or if you have any topics you'd like for us to touch upon, shoot us an email. Until next time, don't do anything that I wouldn't do. They look for the first time to see how visceral fat affects our body, and it's bad for our brain. I'm going to start that again. How visceral adiposity So apparently, I'm just gonna start all over again. God damn it. Basically, at the same it's fucking hard.
I think you need to start over. I heard something like fall.
Stop fucking doing shit.
Be more specific.
Coronavirus treatment. Stephen Bono has Bono. Is it Bono? Bono?